very true. Yes, it is. Yeah. Anything else? No? Go on. Oh, okay. It is. So it is a gas and it's a liquid. It gets transported in a liquid form. That's how you see it on the road all the time inside the truck. That's how it comes to us from the refinery, and then we transfer it from barrel to barrel and eventually to somebody's house or store. As long as it's sealed in a container that doesn't see oxygen, then it remains a liquid. But if it sees oxygen, then it turns into a gas. And that's what you guys are used to, or most of your appliances will run off of that gas instead of a liquid. Does anybody know what the chemical makeup is of water? Go on.
2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen.
Yeah, very true. H2O. Does anybody know propane? C3H8. 3 carbon and 8 hydrogen. That'll be your propane.
What?
Yep.
My dad knows.
Yeah.
You see my dad all the time.
Oh, most likely. Yeah, it's pretty neat. We use a pump and we'll hook up to the tanks and then fill those types of tanks. So I have a couple of stations for you guys. We'll start at station 1 and then I'll take you down to station 2. So you can follow me, and I have a couple things set up. Sorts of different sizes of tanks. They all basically do the same sort of thing. They just hold the liquid inside of there until it's used for some other type of application. They come in all sorts of different sizes and manufacturers and makes. This particular guy right here, we usually refer to it as a bulkhead. That's our biggest storage, and that's a 30,000 gallon tank. So bigger trucks bring it to us, they'll pump it into this storage, and then we have trucks that'll take out of that storage, and that's your most common truck you'll see on the road that goes out to deliver. I have a couple things for you over here that'll show you a couple tanks. A little smaller, but this is basically what the inside of every tank will look like. It's just hollowed out, and then it fills with propane liquid. It's sealed, and then when it sees oxygen, it starts turning to the gas. It has a little overprotection device so you can't overfill it. As the liquid comes up, it slams it shut, and then the valve, it won't let you put any more in it, so you have to stop at a certain space. You guys can take this and pass it around, and then that's how heavy that little guy is. It's made out of steel. And then this one here is the most common size that you guys would probably have at your house. And this is the most barbecue that's hooked up and everybody puts dinner on. So it's just a bigger tank, it holds more liquid, but it's built the same way with the valve and overprotection, so then you can't overfill it. And then that's your most common size. And that's how heavy they are. And then these were developed for a lot of outdoor people. And it does the same thing. It'll hold your propane inside of it, but it's a lot lighter. It's made out of fiberglass and then a plastic shell to hold that fiberglass. This is if you're going rafting, camping, that sort of thing, and you still want to bring a supply of propane. You don't have to have a big old metal tank that you're lugging around everywhere. And that one's much lighter. Now most tanks and most applications and everything that runs off of propane will run off of that gas instead of the liquid, but not everything. Sometimes it'll run off of liquid in itself, and that's what that little tube is there. So then when you open the port, it will create a siphon, and it's actually moving all the liquid instead of the vapor behind it, like the others. So this tank right here has some propane inside of it, and it's stored in there. I only put maybe about 10 gallons this morning, and so this guy holds a lot of pressure. Any tank, whether it's this one, this tank, or all these little tanks. And inside here will be anywhere between 100 to 200 psi that's running through here. And to get a little feel for that, I'll open this up. You guys will hear it and smell it at the same time. And this is tank pressure. open it up just a little bit. If you were to open it up all the way, it would give you even more and it'd hurt the ears quite a bit. That's tank pressure. Normally, that pressure is then reduced quite a bit. And this is what your appliance will run off of. Your barbecue, your house, and so forth run off of very smaller amounts of pressure. And we take all that pressure inside the tank and it gets cut all the ways down to just a flare of pressure. And that's what everything runs off of.
That's cool. I saw that tiny.
Yeah, so then do you guys know why it smells or has that odor?
I don't always mind it.
Why is that? Go ahead.
So the people can smell it if it starts leaking.
Yeah, very true. Yep. Yeah, so propane is actually odorless and colorless from the refinery on the chemical makeup. So they have to add that odorant to it, and it's very strong. It's one of the strongest known to man. That's why they use it. You never get used to it. If you had a tiny pinhole leak, or you had a giant leak, or a pipe collapses, you would get that same amount of smell that's coming into your nose. That's why they use it. So you definitely know that there's a leak or something is happening on the system. Does anybody know if propane vapor floats or if it sinks? Anybody want to take a guess? Go on. Just say it. Anybody?
I think it sinks.
Yeah?
I think it just like goes up and how does it go?
Yeah. It's heavier than air. The propane is, so it'll sink to the ground. Natural gas, its brother components actually floats, so it goes up. Propane will sink with that vapor. So there's some other rules and precautions that go into setup, application, because it'll sit there and just continue to stack on top of itself and then create potentially a cloud cluster. Does anybody know what the boiling point of water is? Go on.
That's like 132 Fahrenheit or something like that.
Close. Yeah. Did you have a guess?
No, I thought you asked a different question.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's 100 degrees Celsius. That would go to 212 degrees Fahrenheit. I had to Google it this morning, so don't feel bad. It's also on my hand until I memorized today. So when that happens, you put a pot of water on the stove. You have to give it that amount of heat for that water to start to boil. When that water boils, it's taking that liquid, turning it to a gas, and then that's when you're seeing steam. That's basically the same thing as propane, but with the chemical makeup, it's very cold. So you would have to stand in a room that's negative 45 degrees or colder in order to take propane and pour it between two cups, because its boiling point is negative 44 degrees. So if it's negative 44 degrees or higher in temperature, it will automatically react and change that liquid to a gas. And then we use the gas for all the applications that you guys are normally seeing. So it's very, very resourceful and a good source, because just your natural environments will give you supply to it. I don't know if I covered the chemical makeup of it. I can't remember because we've done it so much today. What's the chemical formula for water? Yep, H2O. Anybody know what it is for propane? C3H8. 3 carbon, 8 hydrogen. And that will make your propane. So, anybody have any questions at Station 1? Go on.
How expensive is all this propane?
Per gallon to make, or like the facility in itself?
The entire facility.
Oh.
All the propane.
Yeah, that I don't even know. That's above my pay grade too, but probably quite a bit. Yeah, between everything that's here and then the whole operation that comes out of here, quite a bit. Anything that has to do with propane and all the trucks and regulations and hazmat gets pretty spendy. But that's where you get your price per gallon out on the road or delivery to even out all that cost.
What is the price per gallon?
It varies. So if you pick it up or we deliver, we have different pricing due to different equipment that goes into it. Here at the yard, it's $2.51 per gallon. And then we get it from the refinery, which they make up in Washington. We haven't trucked yet. Anybody else? No? Go on.
What company makes the propane?
They're all, so certain companies will own refineries, and that's where it's produced and made. And then you have a bunch of other companies that will come in and buy that at wholesale, and then we come in, truck it, and then resell. Build up, and then you have a lot of horizontal tanks, which will be your most common at a house. When you drive by gas stations, the most common you'll see will be a vertical tank, and that's to save space. So we build up instead of go out. And then, can anybody tell me when propane expires or when it goes bad? Anybody? Go on.
I don't think it does.
Oh, very nice. It does not. Propane actually has no shelf life. So it's good all the ways as long as you can keep it sealed and away from oxygen. And it will last forever. This right here is the most common truck you'll see on the road that delivers propane. And it's basically just another smaller barrel that's used to transfer the liquid to other tanks. It'll have a meter that'll tell us how many gallons is going into it. And then we have to get that calibrated by the state of Oregon every year to ensure that it's accurate. One other tidbit, just by talking by the meter, with propane it actually expands and contracts. So if you had a soda can and that soda can was not crushed yet, that's propane expanded. If you crush that soda can, you would still have the same amount, but it's just shrunk down. That's propane. It will expand and it will contract with heat and temperature change. So in order to do that, an accurate measurement, the only way we could say it's fair is we give it a certain limit of 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's how our meter is gauged. So sometimes we're actually giving propane away, and sometimes we're actually taking a little bit due to temperature differential. This here is the hose, and then the truck has a pump to it, and that's how they're able to transfer product between barrel and the tank. A driver must pull this every single stop he goes to, which is a lot, which is multiple per day, and then by the end of the week, it's quite a bit. So his average pull is about 80 feet. We have 150 feet on the truck that he has to pull at times in order to make it to the tank. You guys can go ahead and fill that, pass it around, and he has to pull that every day and then reel it back up.
I guess that's one way to not have to pay for the gym.
Very much so, yeah. It's quite heavy duty. And then when you guys are done with that, you're more than welcome to check out the truck, open the doors, take a look inside.
I want to hold it.
And this is our everyday driving course here.
I just gone to the passenger side. Oh, that's level? I said you do now. Oh, jeez.
When it does burn, it burns very, very hot. So if something were to catch fire, it would burn so hot that it would literally melt metal directly down to the ground. There'd be nothing left of the truck. As you can feel the heat already. This is barely on from the truck, producing this much of flame and heat. Any questions?